Get ready, because it's the TacoTuesday.com podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the TacoTuesday.com podcast. I'm your host, Corey, joined by my co-host, Chelton. Today, our very special guest is Karen Zee, the OC Spiritualist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, my first question for you would be, when did you first realize you had the ability? Or when did that first click
probably 12 years old. And the reason I say that is because I didn't know anyone who passed away. So I might have been seeing spirits walking all over the place, but I didn't know until my grandmother passed away. And we were at her funeral, and they were up on a hill, and the casket started lowering to the ground, you know, at the end of the funeral.
Right.
And I could see her standing under a tree. And I was like, oh my, like, what is happening? Why? She's not in the box. Like, I couldn't understand because I could see her and she was waving at me. And then all of a sudden I just realized it was her spirit. And then that's probably when it started. But I kind of pushed it off for many years. I mean, I have an Italian Catholic family, so it's not something you wanted to bring up at dinner kind of thing. So
yeah. Might have freaked them out a little bit.
A little bit. When
you saw her, did it look just like you were looking at me right now? Or is it
I see spirits full, like
just
full. Sometimes they present themselves so clear to me that it's just like it's another person. Other times it's more of an energy.
I feel like my mom has always had sort of like she's very in touch with the spiritual realm. I don't know how to word it exactly, but anytime she's ever said that she had like a message for me from the other side, I always just kind of took it as the truth, what it was.
Yeah.
But I never really thought to ask her, I guess, how these things came to her, or what it sounded like, or did they just put an idea into your head, or did it sound like somebody talking to you? Does it happen in different ways for you each time? Like when you say it's energy or clear as day, it's...
I mean, most of the time, it's just every medium is so different on how we, gather information, or how they come to us. So with me, how it started was I would just feel the whole right side of my body go to instant chill. And this isn't a chill like a cold chill. It's static electricity chill, where it just gets you from head to toe. And then I feel like someone's standing right on me. And then, and I can hear through this year, but it took me a while to learn that I could hear them. I could always sense them, but it took one spirit just kicking my butt on me, because she had a message to me finally realize I can fully hear them. I had to open up that other part of me I didn't know I had. I mean, I had to learn all this on my own. I tried to go to people. It wasn't easy. Being a spiritualist, I've talked to different, religious figures. And it really has nothing to do with religion, but I just wanted why is this happening to me, and what kind of medium I was, or what, how I was going to pick up things, because there's no rule book. So I taught myself, and I know how to focus. I know how to open. I know how to stay, and I know how to take them out of a situation so I can talk to them, because somebody shows up and I'm sitting here talking to you and they're in my ear yelling or I have to pull myself from a situation, and they might be just sitting there and I can see them perfectly, and they make me feel how they died usually. Because I'm empathic.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder why that would be the sensation that they would want to make you feel. That
sometimes it helps it just depends in certain situations. So sometimes it helps when they make me feel that way. So I can say to someone, did you have a parent, or do you know someone in your family that died of a heart attack? And I have the symbol for heart attack. I have the pain that I get from a heart attack. Lower, if my back hurts, my lower front, I can say, did they die? Something to do with this. I said, and I pick up right away if they're male or female. I can get that right away. And then I build from that when I'm talking to somebody. But some have me go through their death state, and they make me do that because there wasn't closure, or there wasn't, there was unanswered questions. So they make me go through that, and then I don't realize what I'm saying or doing, and someone's like, oh my gosh, that's what we needed to know. We've had so many unanswered questions. So, I mean, I don't know why I'm giving them that message. Just that they are telling me that there's something that person needed to hear about their loved one. So
it's never for you to understand. It's always for...
No, I'm just the vessel in the middle.
Right.
And I can't control it. I don't know when it's going to happen. I mean, it I can sit down for a reading if I don't pick up anything. I'm very honest. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't make this up, but I've never, ever had that happen. Never.
Ever?
No. Mm-mm. I mean, when I sit down for a reading, it's like their loved ones are just, because I'm alone with them in their space. So
You briefly talked about, you said you had to try and understand what kind or type of medium that you were. Are there different kinds, different types?
Well, some people are more psychic. And then as I was going, I learned what works for me. A lot of, like even just helping someone when they have to cleanse a space. What kind of medium? I'm a medium who starts, I'm like a detective. I start from the beginning and I will not leave you. If someone has a haunted house or something, or they need closure, I will not pass it off and say, oh, you need this ghost team to come in, or this, or you need this guy. The only time I ever do that is when I tell them they need to be blessed, because I'm not, or they need a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. Right. I just give them the messages that I hear. So yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. What I guess, because I'm kind of new to this as well and everything. So have you ever had, and hopefully this is the right question, like full on conversations per se, like talking, like what is that like? Where you just, like I said, they just appear and they're like, hey, this is this, and you're talking back and forth. Like how is?
Oh, I do. My blog. That's why I started a website to tell those stories. They just come to me as clear as day, and I can tell you. I mean, they're just shooting things at me, and I usually don't remember. That's why I have to have someone take notes or somebody record, because it's just coming out of me that I'm so engulfed in what they're telling me and making me feel. And, and a lot of times I have to tell them to back off because I'm so sick from how they passed away. They just want me to feel that first, and then they're subdued and they're fine, and they just want to give their message.
So is the message just to pass on to the person, this is what I felt? The message is exactly what they're telling me. I can't, there's stuff that, I could give you examples where it's stuff that I wouldn't know. Because when I go into a situation, I want to know nothing. I don't want to know anything. And I used to be where I had a manager who could do that stuff for me. And then I started getting the information, like where I had to go. But I didn't want to know. I just told my client, I don't want to know why I'm coming there. Right.
And I could be there and I can just, all the word, I have to be open and be able to tell people exactly what's popping into my head without me second guessing myself.
Right.
So I was at someone's house doing an investigation, and I'm reading this spirit, and he yells beanie in my ear, and I'm like, beanie? And they all just like flipped out. And when you're watching all these people and they start crying, and I'm like, oh my God, what did I just say? I said beanie. That was it. Yeah. Well, then they went and got a picture of this kid, and he always wore a beanie, and at his funeral, there was the picture that the mother put up was him with his beanie on. He was always known to have a beanie on. And so, I didn't know this person. I didn't, that they give me those so I'm not making stuff up. I'm not a charlatan, just, being
you're not tricking people.
No. And that's what upsets me when you see that stuff. And I watch all those shows. Mm-hmm. I watch all of it. And I'm looking at it going, oh my God, like, that just doesn't, to me, because I can also read situations when I'm watching it on TV. And I get so, frustrated other times, and other times I'm like, okay, that's a good medium. They, they did their thing. They helped that person. They didn't, because I can't hold back. I have to. I'm a no nonsense medium also, where if they tell me something and I think it's going to offend you, I have to tell you. Otherwise, they're like this when I leave. I can't shake them. Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you feel like it's more of a blessing or a curse?
Both.
How so?
A blessing because I love helping people. And I would, if I could just help everyone that needed closure, or help people in situations if they're living in and they're in a home where they're not comfortable in, it's kind of where I get a high off of helping other people, because I love that. Okay. So I love that part of it. The curse is the judgment. There's a lot of people out there that make up crap, and I don't have time for that. I didn't ask for this. I just can. And I can read people in a room. I'm really good at that. I read auras on people. I read situations. I can pick a liar out in a second. You can't, it's hard to lie to me. So I instantly I guard myself. So instead of, I'll say to my husband, I don't know, I'm just not comfortable around that person. He's like, oh, don't be judgy. I go, I'm not being judgy. Believe me, I don't want to not be comfortable around that person. It's just that I pick up something until it's clear to me, what that is.
You say it. Have you ever noticed any, how would I say it, like patterns of, like types of people that you'll be around that you'll notice that happens more often?
Open
like
people.
If you're open people.
Open. I read better with people who have an open mind.
Right.
I've been in situations where I came to help a group of people with where they were working. It was actually right here on Cabot. And I walked in and I can see the skeptic. The skeptic like has a beacon. And so I have to refocus my focus on helping the people that want my help. And the skeptic has to be put, I can sense it. I mean,
Right.
It's pretty common. So it's more people who don't believe than they do. But when I tell them something they can't deny, that I can't make up. And that's how, not that I'm trying to convince everyone they have to believe, because why would you believe it if you don't see and I don't have machines. I don't have little geyser things to tell you what I'm feeling or seeing. You don't know me.
Yeah.
So why would you believe if you don't see what I see? And that's a struggle I deal with all the time, but that's just part of it.
I could definitely see that being frustrating when you know it's happening and you have the naysayers and, they sometimes, there are the charlatans out there that just sell people on
absolutely.
things and, they ask sort of vague questions, and that would be frustrating when you have something that's a blessing and a curse, like you said.
Yeah. I'm curious too. So I know when you go to certain places, you're filling out, doing your thing. How often when say someone doesn't call you or you're not investigating, do things happen just on, I guess, your own time?
Call them impromptu.
Yeah, your
My impromptu readings. It's great.
Yeah, how often
it's
does
so
it happen?
great.
And do you get not tired of it happening? But I mean, is it constant?
I block myself off. But let me tell you, I've been read myself. But I went to somebody because I wanted them to tell me what they thought. What kind of medium I was.
Yeah.
And they said my white light is just so severe that they attract to me. But because I'm a very organized person, they wait in line nicely. Well, sometimes they don't because I'm sitting there and I'm at a restaurant or a bar and they want to talk to that person. And so my whole body language changes and I get inside myself, and my husband knows instantly my body language when it happens. He's like, so what do you need to do? Do you want to leave? Or do you want to? I go, no, let me just try to talk this guy. Let me just see what he wants. And let me see. My problem is giving a stranger. I just can't cross that line. Very rare will I do that. And I'll say, I'm sorry, I can't. Your friend's here. He wants to talk to you. And then I'll say, do you have a friend that died of this, this, and this? And his messages and but it's very rare that I will do that because of how mean people can be.
Right.
I didn't ask for this. So you don't have to be crappy about it. That's why I'm very, very, I was anonymous for years. It was word of mouth.
Right.
And then when I went public, I did it in a big fashion. I went to a Paracon event, and had a booth, and I went public then. And then I went public with all my friends that I grew up with from high school. And They all just couldn't believe it either. But everyone close to me knew. And then people, they would, tell, I know someone who can help you, but they have to keep it on the down low. It was all very secretive because I just didn't feel, I didn't need the, harassment from it.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever been asked to, have any of your friends or family that have known you, forever, have they ever asked you for specific help? Like, I want to reach out to so-and-so, and is there
I have rules. Okay. First of all, if I could read my family members every day, I'd do it. I would love to talk to my grandparents every day. I mean, come on. Who wouldn't? I mean, they pop up when they want to because they feel like I've got my that part of me pretty together. So unless there's something that's major that I'm majorly stressing out, one of the grandparents might pop in a dream or something, give me a message. As far as friends getting readings, I prefer not to. I always think I know too much, and that's cheating. So I did have an instance where I had a friend who never, ever talked about her dad. I knew she talked about her mom, and she used to tease me like, don't tell me if my mom's here, this and that. And one night, this man has been following me everywhere for a day or two. And then where I'm at with her, and I realized they sometimes do that. They'll follow me around just to check me out. Like, do I trust this girl to give my daughter a message? They have to check me out too. That's why I always think, and everything I write, all my posts, I always thank the spirits for trusting me to give their loved ones a message, because that's where it comes from. It's not me, it's them trusting me. So I always so my friend, I ended up reading her that night, and it was one of the best readings I'd ever done. It was insane. The stuff he was telling me and what I was picking up to the minute detail. And she was like, she's like, I can't even believe it. And I said, well, I can't believe you never told me this, that your dad was like a surgeon, or who he was. And because she was tall and this short man was following me around. So I'm like, is your dad like Italian guy, like uses his hands, he's short? And she said, yeah, that sounds like my dad. I go, I always say, I do this, like, do not tell me one more thing. Let me tell you.
Yeah. And
that's because I don't want them to lead me on. I don't want them to tell me how he died. I told her how he died. And so
it validates it.
Yeah, it does. So you don't think I'm looking something up ahead of time or whatever. That's why I like to know nothing when I go into a situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said something earlier on about how sometimes, like, they'll come, they'll say something, it'll be someone that you don't know, and they're just like, I need to tell you this. I'm gonna you're like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah,
Like, so 2 questions. The few that you might go up to and you're like, look, I have to tell you this is this. When they're skeptical when they first see you, after you tell them everything, what is their reaction when they're going, oh my gosh, you just told me? Like, how do they react after that?
I don't really allow it to get that like that.
Mm-hmm.
I get tricked sometimes. I'll explain. Walk in a bar.
Mm-hmm.
There's this lovely lady at the end of the bar and her cute husband, this older couple.
Yeah.
He's sitting there looking at her. She's drinking her drink. I sit down at the bar next to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I order my drink and I turn around and I know he's not there. And I'm like, oh my God, the way your husband looks at you. She goes, does that whole thing. I'm like, oh. Then, like, it's almost like I'm watching word vomit come back. I'm all, like, I want to go backwards.
Just kidding.
I'm all, but God, I know. So she's like, I knew he was here. And I'm like, oh, God. Oh, and she's like, no, I'm so glad you said something. She's like, and then we talked. And then she asked me a few questions. And I told her how to handle some stuff at home that she was dealing with. And, I mean, it was an amazing moment. But it was just like, I'll never forget it because I'm like, oh no, he was so clear to me, and I had my guard down because I was comfortable. It was a local place we hung out, And I have a gift boutique, and my gift boutique's right outside the door of it, so it's like all connected. And I was so not happy about it, but she loved it, changed it.
And the second thing is the ones that, again, when they're speaking to you and you're like, no, I'm not doing that, I'm not going over there. Do they go away at some point, or do they just keep?
I follow them. No, they follow me outside. I take them outside and I have a conversation with them. Sometimes I just have spirits show up that just want to talk to somebody and tell me what they went through. If I'm in a crowded place, I can't pinpoint the person they belong to. Where they get me is like a hair salon where I'm stuck. So and now it's nice because I have this hair girl who's in one of those small places, the solo salon where they have their own little room. But before I was like, oh my God, it was so miserable, and I have, 2 people arguing because they're both passed away, and the husband's yelling at her, don't talk to that crazy girl. What are you doing? You're both nuts. He's got that like Italian kind of Jersey, and he's yelling at her. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my God, get me out of here. Get me out of here. Like, I'm not going to run around and tell someone your crazy grandparents are making me crazy. Oh my God, what is happening? But no, I'd have that happen.
My probably most interesting question that I have for you is, what you think happens when we die. So, like, where do you think they are? How do you think it is?
So I'll tell you what they've showed me. Just tell you exactly what they show me. And this is my example I give to everybody. Very clear. I had a spirit come to me, which I thought it was a dream about me. I couldn't figure out because I kept having this dream. He would come to me in my dream. And so I'm in a car driving, and I'm not in California. And I'm on one of, those roads where the trees and, it's the roads where you can see the other freeway, and you're, like Indiana or something where you're driving. And
right.
All of a sudden I'm driving, and on the other side, a semi-truck jackknifes. And so the semi is going like this, and I don't have time, and I'm dead. I mean, instantly. So in my dream, I brace for the pain, but then I am pulled up, and it's no pain. Mm-hmm. It's the most amazing experience I can ever tell someone I ever felt. Like, you're floating above, you have no worries, no cares. Like, You're not. You're just. I can't. It's like total euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look up, and there's all your loved ones for how long, whatever, that have passed away, and you go up through them to this light, and then I wake up. So I don't know where it goes, and I've never been showed past that.
Yeah, dreams are, I mean, it's one of the most fascinating things to like listen to, I know my mom is obsessed with the near-death experiencers, and it's also kind of funny because it's the same thing from different continents. I mean, people that have never met, that have never heard each other's stories say kind of a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid, I thought it was going to hurt, but then I felt at peace.
Yeah.
And then I was like being beckoned by somebody or like some light, or it's always like a nice, positive, good energy.
Yeah.
Definitely, I definitely hope that's how it goes.
Well, like I always tell everybody, I'm not afraid
Right.
to die. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a difference. I don't want to. I'm not ready. I have too much to do here. But when, that day happens, no one ever wants to. So it's just that I know I've seen what several spirits have showed me, what they've gone through, and then who's waiting for them. I mean, they show me in their hospital room, the family members waiting for them that have passed on to take them so they're not scared. You're like, let go. We're going to take you with us kind of thing.
Yeah. No, it's, I see those stupid memes on Instagram. It's like, one of the last ones I saw was like 5 seconds after your death, and then it's just looking into this bright field and a little cat's running through the field, and I was just like, a mess. Oh my God. I'm like, oh, dude, what are you doing this to me for? I did not ask for this. Like, I have to start work in 20 minutes. I did want to ask you about spirit guides or spirit angels and ask do you think that everybody has them?
Yes.
And if so, do you think it's always a relative of that person?
Oh, no. I don't always think it's a relative. But I do believe in spirit guides. Definitely. I have my spirit guides. I have a spirit guide that I haven't seen her in a while, but when I was going through a divorce and I bought a home and lived with my 2 sons, and there was a woman who would show up every night, and I could describe her perfectly. And she just had this aura around her, and she would just check on me. She had long gray hair, the white nightgown, and it's like the wind was blowing in her, and she'd be standing over me. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. Like, what is happening? And then she'd start to come more and more, and I just would feel comfort at night just to check on me. And then I met my husband now, and she really just would show me that she liked him. She would show up. And then she thought it was funny. She would mess with him. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not ready to tell him I see dead people. Like, give this guy a break. She put her finger in his ear. He'd come fly. He's like, or he'd tickle the bottom of her foot or his foot. And then when he asked me to marry him, she said, you're good now. I won't come all the time. And I cried. Oh my God, did I cry? She left. But I always, I always feel like more like relatives would be around me. And when I need that moment, I mean, I could tell you a really funny story, but I don't know.
I think I love funny stories.
okay.
I say let's lean into that.
This is probably TMI.
No
such thing here.
All right, so I'm going to tell you this because I do have a sense of humor, even though I do talk to dead people, okay? So one morning, I'm at my house where I lived in Rancho Santa Margarita before I moved to San Juan, Capistrano. I'm in my bed, I'm sleeping, laying on my side, and all of a sudden I feel someone standing behind me, and I can smell my grandma. I could smell her rose perfume and cigarettes mixed with it, and I could just feel her comfort. And I turned around, and she kind of reminded me. I always thought my grandma was Lucille Ball, okay? And she's Lithuanian, and she always had the big red lips on and the hair, and she had this apron on, and she's tapping her foot, and she's got her little fuzzy slippers on, and she goes, Toots, you're going to have a bad morning. Like that. And I go, what the fuck? So I turn around. And well, what? So I'm just laying there going, did I just see my grandma? My grandma, I love this grandma, right? So I get up, I go in the hallway, and across, diagonal from my room is my son's room, and the door opens, and there's this girl standing there. I'm all, okay, my son, he lives under my roof. Okay, yeah. Think about this. He's in high school. This girl walks out of the room. I don't even think, no, actually, I think he was older than that. I think it was like 18, 19. She walks out, and I'm like, and she just, her eyeball, she looks at me and puts her head down and goes right, because the stairs are right in front of me, and goes down the stairs. She won't even look at me. I'm like, okay. All right. I'm like, take a deep breath. Don't go Italian on him. Just give him a minute before you go crazy. Then the door opens again. Another girl comes out and looks at me. I'm all, by this time, I'm going to kill somebody. I'm all, what the? And then she walks down. So then I'm like, I'm going to go around to the laundry room to the other side. And I get over to the other side of the stairs because it's all open. The door opens again. Another girl come out of the room. She freezes and looks at me. I'm all, oh, hell no. Oh, no. Oh, no. And she just looks at me like, oh, shit, and goes out the door, right? I go flying in his room like a mad woman. He's fully clothed on top of the bed. His buddy's passed out in his recliner, and there's blankets everywhere, and they're all fully dressed. I'm like, like Italian maniac. What is happening in here? He's like, Mom, my friends, they were like drinking, and I didn't want them driving. I said, then put a note under my bed. Yeah. Mom's in the hallway. I'm scary mama bear. Like, I'm lucky I didn't take these girls. I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. I'm like, where are their mothers? I'm like, where do their moms think they're at? They're girls. That's the first thing I say to him. He's like, Mom, sorry. Yeah, just leave me a note. I'm cool. I that's fine. If you leave your door open and I know they're in there, fine. They were drinking, whatever. But
just 3 women coming out of all these doors. Like, what do you expect me to think?
I know. So yeah, my grandma warned me about that. It was a funny moment. Her little message.
That is hilarious.
She was right. You're like,
you're going to have a bad morning, Toots. I knew it was her because she called me Toots. Yeah.
That is funny. You know what I do often is I smell my grandma's makeup. She was this little tiny woman, so I'd have to go all the way down to give her a hug, and she would not kiss me on the cheek. She would try to go for a lip kiss because she was old school like that, but I would turn my head, even though her hand was forcing my head to go like this. And I'd fight strong. Pinch a nerve in my neck. Yeah, and she'd kiss her cheek, and I'd always get her makeup on my face, and then I'd smell her makeup for the rest of the day. Oh, and that's something that I smell all the time.
Really? So that's see, that's another thing. People ask me all the time, why can't I see it? Why can't I? Because I always tell everyone they have the ability. Why can I see it? Well, why can I feel it? I said, okay, let's sit for a moment. Say you're in your car and you hear a song that reminds you of somebody that passed away. That's your moment. Say you see a butterfly and it reminds you of a loved one that passed away. That's your moment. You saw it. You felt, Say you're standing there. This is the one that always floors people. You're washing dishes and it's hot out. And you feel that all of a sudden there's chill around you. That's your loved one giving you a hug. Or someone there watching over you. Everyone has the ability. They just don't pick it up.
Right. Mm.
They just think, oh, that song came on. Not a big deal. There's always signs. I mean, I have people tell me all the time, dragonflies, butterflies, money, finding pennies. Yeah, just different, little signals or like songs. Smells. Smells is another one. Mm. When someone smells roses, they think of their grandma. Vanilla or whatever,
It's crazy you talked about that. My father's mother died long time ago when I was younger. And she had these set of keys, these house keys. And she always used to wear like this old school perfume, just strong to the smell. But it smelled good, but it was her. We had her house keys, I think, for maybe, 10 years. Mm-hmm. And that smell never went away.
Yeah.
It never went away. And I think it's still around our house somewhere, but I'll still smell them. And it's still just the hint of it that's still there. I'm going, that's ridiculously insane. But like her scent is just always on those keys. Uh-huh. Nothing else of hers that any of the family has. Her scent, just those keys.
That's awesome.
Like, okay, grandmother. All right.
Some high quality perfume.
You want to last almost 20 some odd years.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the good stuff.
Oh, funny. Well, I can just say that I every case I work, every investigation, and every person I sit down with is a part of my life forever. They're a part of me because I was trusted with their loved ones, message, and that I can never ever give enough thanks for, or so if you ask me what's my favorite experience, I have several. I mean, I have some that will scare the pants off you, and then I have some that are just so amazing, and I always think I used to prep before I went to an investigation, and I learned real hard, real quick, that I get to a situation, I'm like, oh, this is nothing like I thought. So I'd have to regroup before I'd help them cleanse. But I'm always there from start to finish. And if something is wonky after, I come back. There is no, I'm yours forever. That's it. I help people all the way through.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had couples where, I've only had one horrible, horrible situation where they had to move out. Wow. It was terrible. It was beyond anything I'd ever experienced. So every time I go do an investigation, I learn something new. I learn something new every reading I do. I learn, and I have somebody hand me something, and all of a sudden I'm seeing all their relatives standing around their dead relatives, and I can tell you everything about them. How did I know? I didn't know I could pick up something and pick up that. It's everything is a learning experience for me.
I know you said before that when you go on different investigations and when it's done, you cleanse the area. What does that look like? And is cleansing one area different from cleansing another?
Yes.
Like, I know there's like different ways.
Depends on the situation and what the heck's going on there. Very much so.
Okay.
Like I said, sometimes I have to leave and come back because I need to gather what I need to do and do a little bit more research before I go crazy.
Right.
So, and sometimes it's even rooms in the house that are different. So I did a 12,000 square foot house once, and I walked into one room, and I wrote about this where I don't know how to explain it to anyone else what I see and feel, but when I write, I try to make it relatable so you're there. So I walk in this room, and it looks like, I guess if there was a big fire in the house and the smoke damage in the room that wasn't burned, but because of all the smoke, the damage on the walls, that's what I see when there's a negative film or residue in the room. I see gray walls, gray. So I'm going to work to cleanse that out. I may do more in that room than I do in the rest of the house. This happened to be a situation where I had to put some boots on, and I climb shit. So I'm climbing walls, and I'm putting tobacco all down the back because they were having Indian, residue come from, behind the house, in through the house. It was built on a hill, and just the different stuff that was going on. And then when I'm open like that, I'm reading the pool guy, I'm reading the maid, I'm reading the husband. I just am like, all these spirits are coming through. Even the person there, I said, your dad's here all the time. I said, do you even know, how he died? And she's like, no. She was this flabbergasted. I think she was just in shock.
Yeah.
When I gave her all the details. So when I'm open like that, and then she goes, well, are you going to cleanse them out? I go, no, your family members can stay. See, I have to make that clear, though.
Yeah.
That when I cleanse, and I always tell people that, if I'm cleansing, I'm getting rid of everything. If you want certain family members here, you got to follow me around and say they can stay. Yeah. That's your permission. That's what I do at my house. My loved ones are allowed to visit me. Right. I don't want any negative or anybody excess coming through.
That is, I have a question that's a kind of like a moral question, because you were talking about burial grounds and like building on top of old burial grounds. And I heard an argument that at some point in time, something or somebody died on any different plot of land. Yeah. And, some people would say, they would ask, is there a certain amount of time you should wait after somebody's been buried or a cemetery has been developed over? Or do you see that as a disrespectful thing to the people that were buried there?
Well, yeah, if they didn't move the bodies, but I still think that's disrespectful. And this is what I try to explain to people. There's an imprint. It's an imprint of energy of time, and it's stuck there. Some are more severe than others. It's just like when you're in your home, or say you buy a new home, and the walls are painted white, and it's so pretty, and you move in, and you get in there, and you're getting headaches, and you're feeling depressed, and maybe the people before that fought all the time. They went through a horrible divorce, or there was a lot of this and that. The walls suck in your energy. You need to cleanse them out. And so that's the same thing about environments. Your energy stays behind. It makes an imprint. And if you've had say you had a tribe there, and that's where they had their good times, their bad times, they buried, they had children, whatever, it's imprinted there. And they might have felt disrespected when you built that on top of, built a house on top of there. You can offer them. I offer them tobacco, cleanse them out. That's just what I know, what I have dealt with. I mean, I'm not saying that's how it is for everybody.
Right.
I'm not the authority on this. I do have mine where, I watch those shows on TV and I'm like, oh, come on. Oh, I can't watch. I yell. You know how men yell at sports? I yell at
those shows.
I yell at paranormal shows. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh my God. Like, when they go in there and they're in the dark bumping into stuff, I'm like, why the hell would you go in the dark? It's haunted no matter what. So I always tell my clients, I'd like to come during the day. They're like, you don't want to come at night? I said, no, why? So I can walk around bumping into shit all night long. Like, I don't know where I'm at because that's not my house. That's not how it works. If they're going to come no matter what. It doesn't matter what time it is. If they're there, I can read their energy, whether they're moving stuff or walking around. I know they're there. Doesn't matter. I can walk into a hotel. Yeah, I am staying here. And I leave. I can walk in, things, or even just a hotel room. The hotel might not be haunted, but the imprint of something negative that happened in there, I wrote about that in my blog. A severe thing happened in one room, and I had to leave there. I started vomiting. So I moved to another room, and I was like, woohoo, party on, let's go, because it was just in there attached to me.
Yeah.
So overall, would you say that would you consider it more of a gift or a burden? Like, would you say that the positives that have come out of it would outweigh the stress or intensity of more negative things?
It's almost like it's okay, what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of selfish because I get such a high off of helping people. Mm-hmm. And yes, I come down after that initial high because I just love when I give people validation about things and they validate to me that I'm making them have there's no such thing as closure, right. But just a little bit of closure, a little bit of, of an insight, that is such a high for me. And you can't explain it to anyone until they experience it. And then it's the afterwards, the down with where, I that's when I sit down and I write everything that happened that I can remember. Most of the time I'll post something, and I always change names. Sometimes I change locations. I don't give personal client details that I think shouldn't be put out there, right. And I will say that in there. This part of the investigation was private, what they told me. And that helps me get that release right there. But yeah, I mean, people are mean. I mean, how many people think that, oh, I'm just messing with the devil? I'm like, okay, well, I guess you have to believe in the devil. And I don't know if I actually do. I haven't met him. So, that's kind of how I think about it. You can say that all you want, but I only have the purest white light intentions, like the purest of pure. There's nothing negative that I could possibly release and let, and messages are either good or bad. I can't control those.
Yeah. Right.
But don't be mean about it. I just don't understand. That takes a lot of energy to be mean to people about things. Name call. I just don't get that. I don't work like that. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, and even to be a skeptic of what, let's say, somebody is completely skeptical of what you do and they don't buy it. They think it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
The world's a pretty crazy place, and some pretty crazy shit happens here that is not able to be explained. Mm-hmm. Like the universe's existence, for example. We've come up with all kinds of reasons for how we think. Different religions provide answers. Science goes so far as to, as far back as it can go, but nobody really knows. So to fully discredit something like that, I think is short-sighted, maybe, is a good way to put it.
Well, that's what I say. When someone's different than I am, or they believe in something that maybe I don't, how can I judge? I talk to dead people. Like, who am I to be the judge? It's just like if you're an authority about certain things and that person doesn't understand it, that's their thing. Like, who am I to say that I think that's wrong?
Right.
It's just, people freak out about Bigfoot. They freak out about aliens. Have I met either one? No, but I'm not saying they're not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. Yes, I'd love everyone to be more open to it, and I think it'd be more comfortable, and I don't have to be at a family dinner or a dinner with friends and not allowed to talk about that part of me. It's not brought up. No one brings it up. And the friends that do like it, they will pull me aside and that are about it. But it's like almost like if you went to a dinner with a bunch of people and everyone's smiling, having a good time, and you feel like you're stuck in this suffocating box because you are afraid to be yourself because they think you're a freak already. And I already know what people say. I mean, we've had couples that I stopped hanging out with because the husband's a scientist and he thinks I'm just a nut
Just
job.
can't get past it.
No, he can't, and then some people say, oh, we heard Alex's wife's a witch. I'm all, okay, I don't do spells.
Yeah.
I talk to the dead. I don't conjure them.
Right,
Okay,
I'm not
so
over
wait
here.
a minute. I didn't ask that person to come. There's a line there, and I think it's just ignorance. And I say that very lightly, and I just got the chills. I do not believe in calling anyone ignorant. It's not fair because they have their, very, very. My biggest problem is severely religious people who think that I'm doing something that's not in the Bible. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not a witch. I'm not a demon lover. I'm not conjuring anything. I'm not doing anything
You're
to
not spewing
harm
hate or,
anybody.
Yeah.
And I
having
would
bad
never
intentions.
force that on you. If you are not about it, fine. That's your entitlement. That's not mine,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it does hurt. I mean, it hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, go.
Who's after you?
No, I was just being in the information age, it makes it so easy to feel like we know everything, but there's just so much that is absolutely unknowable. I mean, I'm not necessarily a religious person myself, but I would never go so far as to say you are definitely wrong. That
Yes.
like your religion is definitely wrong
Exactly.
because I have no evidence or proof rather to suggest that I have no evidence that you're wrong and I have no proof of the opposite being
Yeah.
true. So for somebody to be so definitive and so certain that they know, I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to tell you what I tell everybody. This might be controversial. We might get a little bit of rub on this, but
it happens.
it happens. You can't see ghosts. You mock me for not seeing ghosts, but you all believe in a ghost. You worship a ghost. That's just how I feel. They worship someone they never met, which I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying in
Right.
all,
Right.
because I'm a spiritualist. So I have all my clients, Muslim, Jewish. I have every client of every kind of religion there is, Buddhist, you name it. So that's why I'm a spiritualist. I appreciate every single religion, and I'm fascinated by why people choose what they choose. Right?
Absolutely.
So, I've read, if you come into, I have a library in my house. If you come there, you'll see from Hinduism to Buddhism to everything I read about. To witchcraft, because I have to, because I've been told, people, I'm like, okay, this has nothing to do with me, but I like to know, these people are not trying to cause a lot of trouble here, and I
Yeah.
like to dissect everything. So when you come at me and you say that I'm, there are no such thing as ghosts, and you worship, the nickname is Holy Ghost. So why be mean to me? That's what I don't. That's my. Okay, you could tell me. What do you think? You have a look on your face.
Wait, me?
Yeah. No.
No,
Okay.
I am 100% open-minded to everything.
Me
I
too.
am not interested in going around being an asshole to my friends that have different religions
Exactly.
than me.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I can't look you in the eye and confidently tell you I know what's what. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Because no one knows.
Exactly.
I
what's
just
what. No one knows
accepted
everything.
that like a long time ago
Exactly.
that one day I'm going to die and I have a moral conscience and it tells me what I can and cannot do
Yeah.
if I intend to sleep that night. And I feel like most of I guess I don't really know where I'm going with that. It's if you're not going against your moral conscience, you're probably not doing the wrong thing. Like if you have good intentions in doing what you're doing, like your
Exactly.
intentions are pure, then
No, you're right. And even with that too, if you have those good intentions of what you're doing, if you're going around believing that you're operating in love, then you shouldn't be going around berating those people who believe in something that you may not
Exactly.
believe and then spewing all that hate on them.
Right.
Like, no matter
Exactly.
what is happening, it's like, cool, I'm going to believe what I'm going to believe. But just because you don't believe the same thing, I'm not going to go around, oh, you blah, blah, blah.
No, I would
like,
never do that.
Yeah. And
You
other
think I don't
people-
see posts all day, the stuff people say about other people and the bashing and everything in me, I'm like, oh, I have a comment. But I'm like, but why? But it's just not necessary.
Yeah, it's not.
It's just
like you
not.
said, it takes much more energy and effort
Yes.
to be berating someone
Yes,
than
it
to
does.
operate out of love with somebody.
Yeah.
Like so much
it's easier.
more.
It's
Just
literally
figure, and I would say,
yeah.
you know what, that person's just different. Maybe we wouldn't be good friends, or
Yeah.
you know what, they just have a different. And I actually have people in my life that think differently about things than I do, but I like that about them.
Yeah.
I like people who are different and unique, and and they know my stance on things, and we still like each other.
Right,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's not that's how it should be, but You know,
Yeah.
that's not
Other
how it
people
is.
have other ideas.
And the whole dynamic of everything, no, people are not kind to someone who says, yeah, I see dead people. I mean, I know it's a cliche phrase, but
I mean, I can understand there's arguments to be made on both sides of that, and I can totally see both. And I just so happen to have had experiences that leave me towards believing that is possible and not discrediting. And even if I didn't, though, I'm not, you know, I have super liberal friends. I have super conservative friends. I have super religious friends. I have friends that are not religious whatsoever. And I get along well with everybody that doesn't take their own opinion too seriously.
Yeah.
Because I don't consider my opinion to be, you know, the law. Yeah. Some people, they're just, this is what I think, and I know I'm right, and everybody else is dumb. And I'm like, that's hard. You're going to live a difficult life.
Yeah, you are.
That way.
yeah.
So where can our wonderful viewers find you?
Well, I have a website that they can read. I mean, you got to dig in there. It's not the best website in the world. I am so not techie savvy, and I had someone do it for me. I'm not great at it, so I probably should redo my website. Sorry. It's ocspiritualist.com. And there's a place there to put comments or whatever.
Nice comments.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, and this is another thing that I have to make clear. And I did post this on my site yesterday because someone tried to hack into my OC Spiritualist account and get money from people.
Yeah.
I do not do readings over the phone. I do not do them over the internet. I do not take money over the internet. I do not do any of that. It's one-on-one. I look you in the face. I read the energy in your home. I read your energy, or I'll be in your backyard with you because I don't want to see pictures of the person you're trying to,
right.
You know, so that I'm not, I'm very, very clear about that. I'm just me, and I decide. I used to have a man. I just don't anymore. So it's all me. You have to contact me on ocspiritualist.com, and it tells you where to go from there. But yeah, I have an Instagram page, same thing. But that's it.
And I believe that website links to both your Instagram and your Facebook page.
I used to have a Facebook.
Okay.
I might still have a Facebook one. I don't put anything on there because people are mean. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the people that are really into it, I'll just put it on my regular Facebook. Like, hey, this is like when I tell them when this is going to be aired, I will tell them on there.
Yeah.
You know, what's happening, what's going on, because they're always sending me side messages. Why haven't you written anything in a while? What have you been up to? Or they'll send me pictures of places because I put in there, you know, because OC stands for Orange County. So I put in there when I'm reading somewhere and I'll take a picture of me in front of the place and they'll take pictures in front of that place and say, we're here, were you read or were you investigated? And we're looking for so-and-so when we're in here. Or yeah. So that's it. I mean, I'm very particular. I prefer investigations, one-on-one readings because I get very sick when I do the one-on-one readings. So I spread those out. I probably have a wait list of a lot of people, but I kind of just took a break this year.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just as honest as I can be. I prefer investigations. That's where, and then I'm reading everybody in the room. It's just like once I'm there.
Yeah.
Well, I would think everybody else appreciates that too. I mean, because it validates it on their end. You know, they have reason to believe. So, I mean, if somebody were going into that as a skeptic, I mean.
Yeah. But you wouldn't call me. If you were a skeptic, I doubt it. I doubt it.
I don't believe.
I mean, and then I always tell people that, do you want a good reading or you want a bad reading? And they're like, well, how do I get a good reading? I said, don't bring a skeptic. It's because I'm too just preoccupied with the fact that this person's going, you're a loon. Like, what are you doing? In their body language, like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? You can tell they do the whole, you know.
Instead of just being open-minded and thinking that this person might have an incredible ability that I don't have. Yeah. Perhaps it's theoretically possible, so why not just...
Yeah, I've dealt with it for years. It is what it is, you know? I still love helping people.
That's what's most important.
That's my goal.
Yeah, I love that.
Cool. Well, I think on that note, everyone out there, stay safe, stay tequila drunk, eat a lot of tacos, be nice to people, you know, don't be a pain in the ass. Everybody hates a pain in the ass.
Keep your heart open. Keep your mind open.
Keep your heart and your mind open, but not literally. Cheers, everybody.
TacoTuesday.com.